Okay. So, good morning to everybody that is tuning in. Welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen and Dil Diya Galna Live. I am going to show you exactly what we're doing. We are making an apple pie trifle, but we are going to be serving it in these little tiny glasses. And this is the time when no one wants to do over the top desserts. Everybody's trying to watch their calories. So this is like a little sweet treat that you can enjoy without feeling guilty, and you can make it as hearty as indulgent as you want. So there is no right or wrong to this. But if you like apple pie and you don't like the crust, or if you don't like too much of it, this is what you're going to do. So let's start with the first process. We are going to make an apple compote, which is nothing but any kind of fruit or berries that you reduce is called a compote. Veena ji, is the camera angle okay? Can you guys see?
We can see, yeah.
Okay, great, perfect. Okay, so you're going to need a pan. You're going to need some butter. I'm going
to go back to Zoom this way I can highlight you.
Sure, no problem.
I'll get the messages.
Just going to add a little bit of butter to this.
Okay.
You can also make this with brown sugar. I'm going to use just good old white sugar, but you can do brown sugar. So when you do store-bought apple pies, there's cornstarch in it, there's gum, there's a lot of preservatives that they put in. When you make a compote like this, you can actually make it ahead of time, and you can put it in your fridge or freezer. It lasts for quite a long time. Let me just put up my hair. Okay. Good morning, Tim. Good morning, Sunita. Welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen. I'm going to start by making an apple compote, and then we are going to do a deconstructed apple pie in a shot glass. Now, if you drink, you can also serve this with a shot of bourbon. If you don't drink, then you can just leave it the way it is and keep it as virgin as possible.
Basically, these are cut apples, right?
Yes, I've used one golden and one gala apple. Those are the two apples that I've used. I like the golden because it has a little bit of a tartness, and the gala apple is pretty sweet. So that's why I use one of each. I peel them and I cut them into small pieces. Now, the smaller the pieces, the faster your entire process is going to go, because we are basically just going for a very jammy consistency. A compote is almost like a jam. So we have to wait for these apples to cook down. I am going to add a desi twist by including cardamom along with cinnamon. So traditionally there's only cinnamon and nutmeg that is used. I'm going to add a pinch of cardamom to this. Who doesn't like cardamom in their desserts, right? We are desi girls. And I'm going to add a little bit of a dash of cinnamon. Now, if you don't like cinnamon, as an Indian person, if you don't like cinnamon, you can totally skip this step and only stick with nutmeg and cardamom. That's fine too. Just do what pleases your palate. But if you're going for that traditional twist where you really want a little bit of a hint of the holidays, then definitely add that dash of cinnamon. It's going to make your house smell really good. It's going to make your dessert feel very, very authentic. Okay, for anybody who has questions, just drop them in the chat below. Veena ji can moderate the chat. Hello, Misty. Hello, Argelia. How are you? I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Okay, so now with the butter and the... Oh my God, it smells so good. It's almost going to start smelling like a coconut burfi. I think it's the combination of the cinnamon and the cardamom that does that. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and add sugar. Okay, we don't want it overly sweet because we are going to add other sweet components like whipping cream, etc. So you don't want the compote to be overly sweet. The point of any compote is to help the fruits to release their own pectin. So you can do this with strawberries, you can do this with cranberries, you can do this with any kind of fruit that you like. If you have a lot of fruit, and it's the end of the season and there's a lot of that fruit in the market, you can always make a big batch of compote and you can freeze it. And then you can use it as a topping on top of your ice creams or pies. I am also going to add a little bit of water to this.
So let me just quickly recap. You put butter first?
Yes. These are two apples, one golden and one gala apple, peeled and cut into small pieces. Now I'm going to add some water because I want to cook these out, right? If you're going for a hard bite, like if you want to do that crunchy apple situation, then you don't need to overcook these apples. I want to go for a very jammy kind of a feel. So I'm also going to cover this so it can cook, so then we can move on to the next step in this dish. Okay, so this is going to cook. It's going to take a few minutes. Now our next step involves adding a decorative topping to the dessert glass, right? So we are going to try to include something that's very festive and decorative. You can use things like sprinkles, the festive sprinkles that you get in all the supermarkets at this time of the year. You can use something like that. So here how it's going to be layered. There's going to be a layer of crust which we are not going to bake. On top of that will be the compote, the apple compote. Then there will be cream. Then there'll be a little more apple compote and then something for decoration. So we're going to build it high, and that's pretty much the plan. Okay, so here I have some white chocolate. These are white chocolate pellets that you get very easily in Michael's, or even online you get them very easily. And instead of tempering them over a double boiler on the stove, I am going to temper them in my microwave. So I will put it in 30-second increments, and then I will keep stirring it. You do need a good non-stick spatula to make the most of all the chocolate that's going to be melting. Just take a quick look at this. Now if you add brown sugar to this, it's going to have a really nice rich brown color, and I think that's really decadent and it's very festive looking, especially with against the white cream. It looks really nice. Yes, these are apples, Misty. I've used one golden and one gala apple, and I've chopped them. I'm making an apple compote, which is pretty much very similar to apple pie filling. The only thing is that I'm not using any preservatives. I've added some cardamom because we're Indian, and I've added the traditional cinnamon. So a quick recap for those of you that are tuning in. If you need to add a little more water to soften up the apples, you can. If you like the bite of the apple, where you want it to be a little bit crunchy and crispy, then don't cook beyond this. You're going to be fine. But I like it to be a little more jammy and a little more caramelish. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little more sugar. Not too much. Okay.
More sugar?
I just added 3 teaspoons of sugar.
Teaspoons?
3 teaspoons. 3.
Teaspoons, okay.
Yeah. And you can add less or more. Some people also like to do it with honey. Some people like to do it with maple syrup. Some people like to do it without any sugar at all. So after 30 seconds, this is how the chocolate comes out. There's no action right now. It's just probably warming up. I'm going to go back and put it in for another 30 seconds. So this step we are going to do in increments, okay? Now we come to the other part of this dish, which is going to be making the crust, right? Now, I don't like to bake. I'm a shit baker. I hate baking. I'm scared of baking, whatever you want to call it. All those things is me. So what I do is I use these cake rusks. Everybody knows these rusks that we eat with our chai, right? Everybody has these in their house. Yes, you can use any kind of digestive cookie. You can use Marie biscuits. You can use whatever you have. You can use any cookie that crumbles nicely. Just get a blender and just, if you don't have this kind of a pulsating blender, then you can always put it in a Ziploc bag and just crush it with a rolling pin. Okay, so that works. So this is going on. So I'm pretty much doing multiple things at a time. And also one important thing that I want to mention is that I'm doing the very miniature version of this, right? If you have a big party that you have to go to, just follow the same steps and then do them in like a nice decorative glass bowl and do it like a trifle. So build it up, exactly follow the same steps that I'm doing right now, and it's going to work, okay? So we are going to go in and pulse this thing. It doesn't want to turn on. What is up with that?
According to you, when it's made, it's good for how many people?
I am going to make, I'm going to make 2 to 3 samples over here. These are the samples that I'm going to make today.
Okay.
Right? But if you want to feed more people, then you can always multiply the recipe, and, you know, everything works on its own. So this is just a dry crumble that becomes nice and crusty. So you can use, if you don't have anything, you can use graham crackers, you can use ginger snaps, whatever kind of cookie you have, you can use that, okay? And you know, in the Indian stores, you get all those pista cookies, badam cookies, you can use any of those. Those are really good because they're going to make it very rich and tasty, and you'll get that nutty flavor and texture. So you can see the apples are pretty much breaking down over here. You see how it's kind of breaking down really nicely? If you like jaggery or if you have jaggery at home, you can absolutely use that. So we are really just going for a very soft and smooth apple texture. I purposely cut them to different sizes so that I don't get baby food in my mouth, right? I like texture in my food, and for that I purposely often always cut my fruits or vegetables to different sizes so that when I cook them, they shouldn't all be the same puree. Let's check on the chocolate really quick.
Okay.
You can see it starts to look a little glossy. I think I should not have taken a white cup. It starts to look glossy, so we're going to give it a good turn. And now it starts to break down. So this is melting chocolate. It's already sweet. And this has an almost vanilla kind of a flavor in it. So you don't need to add any sugar. Okay, so this you can easily get in Michael's, in the Wilton cake decorating section. You can see how beautifully it melts. Ideally, you should do this as a double boiler method where you have boiling water at the bottom and then have a glass bowl or a steel bowl and then put the chocolate in that to cook the chocolate with residual heat, right? But I'm just doing it in the microwave for purposes of speed because time is of the essence. So I'm going to go and put this back in the microwave for another 20 to 25 seconds. So basically I want it to be runny and flowy because I'm trying to make the decoration, which is going to be the topping for our dessert, right? Okay. So I can smell the apples and the sugar on the side has really started to caramelize. Like you can see all of this brown stuff. This is actually the caramelization of the sugar. So I'm not going to cook it beyond it. You can see the apples are getting a nice nutty brown color. It really helps if you have a good non-stick pan because then your caramel doesn't burn and then you can just fold it right back into the apples, okay? Hi Sarfaraz Sheikh, hello Jayanandini, welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen. We are making apple pie shots. Okay, so just crush it with the back of your spatula. This filling is absolutely ready. Now, if you were very lazy and you didn't want to do anything, you could just take this filling, take a scoop of vanilla ice cream and serve it alongside. So you could do vanilla ice cream with an apple compote and call it a day, right? But we are extra and we are fancy, so we don't settle for just about anything. These are the crumbs that became of the cake crust that we crushed. So I'm going to put this on the side. We're going to work on the chocolate before it solidifies and hardens again. It is pretty warm in my kitchen, so hopefully we'll have enough time. So when you work with chocolate, you want to give it enough time to melt. And then once it's melted, you want to work with it really, really fast because you don't want it to harden, right? So here I have a piece of parchment paper. We're just going to make the decoration for it, okay? So I have a piece of parchment paper. And what I'm going to use is something very unusual. I'm going to use freeze-dried strawberries, okay? And this is something you get in Aldi. You get it in a lot of the health food stores. So a lot of people like to use rose petals in their desserts. I don't use rose petals because I think it's a pain in the ass to eat it. Forgive my French. So I'm going to use these instead. They look really nice and vibrant and they actually look like you've put rose petals. Okay, so these are freeze-dried strawberries. I'm just going to take a few and I'm going to crush them and put them on the side. And we are going to create a beautiful topping for our chocolate, right? So we have the white. So just imagine you have the cream and brown from the apples. Then you have the white from the cream. And then you have little flecks of red on top. So it's very festive. If you have food coloring that you want to use in your white chocolate, you can use that as well. So we're going to keep this ready. I'm going to spread out the chocolate right over here. Oh, let me just... Okay, I'm going to spread out this. So this is just a piece of parchment paper.
So the frozen strawberries are just...
Yeah, just freeze-dried. They're not frozen. They're freeze-dried. So you don't have to refrigerate them. You will find them in the snack section. Yeah, you'll find them in the snack section of your grocery store. It's in pretty much in every supermarket, but definitely Aldi has them. They also have blueberries like that. I use them all the time for my desserts and it tastes really, really good. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm just creating one little block of white chocolate that I'm spreading.
Okay.
And just do it to the best of your abilities and do it fast. So this is just stark vanilla, right? So we already have the cinnamon and the cardamom and we have the spicy notes coming from the compote. And this is going to be the perfect backdrop for that setting, right? So this is just the topping and somebody can eat it just by itself. It's going to be the finishing touch that's going to go into on top of your dessert, right? I'm not going to finish the whole thing. Now this is going to go into the freezer. But before I put it in there, I am going to top it with the crushed strawberries. Right? And then you're going to press it in just a tad bit. Just make sure that you have a little bit of a color everywhere on the bark. So when I freeze it, it's going to be like a sheet of chocolate that I can then break into a bark and use it as a topping. So when you see all these fancy desserts and all these chocolate cakes and everything, and then they have like the beautiful topping, sometimes it's really as simple as this. It's not that big of a deal. It's just that we don't know how to do it. So we feel like, oh my God, this is so fancy, you know?
Right, I know.
So I'm going to just use all of this. And I will take my offset spatula and just press it in to make sure that everything is stuck to the chocolate. As soon as the chocolate starts to freeze up, all of this will become a permanent part of the bark.
Okay.
Okay, so you're just going to tap this in. And then in it goes. I can actually also put some almonds. Hold on one second. Let me just chop some almonds. Who doesn't like some nuts with their apple pie, right? So we are making it a little bit more decadent, but we're also adding some nutritious components, like we added an extra fruit, which is the freeze-dried strawberries. We're going to add some nuts. So you can literally just make it your own. You can use pralines, you can use nuts of your choice. All of this is also I'm going to add some almonds. If you have pralines that you want to chop up, if you have walnuts that you want to chop up, hey, you know what? Just make it your own. You want to do pistachios. Sometimes people have allergy to one nut, but the others are fine. So you can do it whichever nuts work for your family. Just use those. Right? Okay. So now this whole thing is going to go in the fridge, right? I started this first because this needs the most time. This needs about 10 to 15 minutes to set up. So I'm going to put this in the freezer. If I can only find the space in my freezer, that would be something. Okay. I think the biggest challenge is to find space in our freezer. Okay, so in it goes. All right, so this should be about 5 to 7 minutes. It's going to start setting up. Now the next thing that I'm going to work on is the cream part of my dessert. This is the crust that we have. I'm going to bring my glasses in which I'm going to set my dessert. And I will, some people like to add butter to this crust. I don't like to do any of that stuff. I think it's totally unnecessary. Just spoon in a little bit.
To my house a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then you made this kind of dessert.
Yes, I made the faluda. I made the rubbery faluda and the rice kheer, the mango kheer shots for you.
It was so good.
Yeah.
That was another.
It's really a combination of, how you put your flavors together. What does the presentation look like? It's really all about that. And oftentimes the simplest things like there's no baking involved. There is no like hours of standing in the kitchen involved. And whatever I'm doing at a small scale, you can literally do it in a big trifle bowl or something, and it'll still look really pretty, and it's going to look really nice, and people will love it, especially kids. They like to eat these tiny desserts and they feel really good about it. Okay, so I didn't use any butter on any of these crusts. I'm going to leave them just the way they are. The next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to use some heavy cream to create, I'm going to create that cream that I need. And instead of adding butter to this, I will just go ahead and add some plain old cream just to make it set a little bit. Okay, it's going to go in the fridge. So there's a lot of like in and out of the fridge that happens. Make sure your hands are clean so your glasses don't get stained. I'm going to stick it back in the fridge for it to set a little bit. Okay, and we will come back to that. The next step that we're going to do involves taking heavy cream, which is really readily available. If you're vegan, now they also have coconut cream that you can use. So for all your desserts, just go for that. Now you're going to go ahead and add a little dash of cinnamon to this as well. A little bit of sugar. And we are going to whip this nice and fluffy. Now I don't have the skills to pipe it into a piping bag and pipe it into the dessert cups, but most bakeries and like those expensive places that you go to, they actually just take a piping bag and pipe the cream in. The trick is that your bowl should be cold, your cream should be cold, and your tools should be very cold. So we are just going to go ahead and whip this. Always take something that's deep enough so that it doesn't splatter everywhere. That's the trick to getting it done. Yeah, a lot of steps. But if you don't have time to do this, just get a box of Cool Whip and throw it in there. It works. Yeah. So it really depends how much time do you have, how much inclination do you have, how creative are you. Whatever I'm doing, you can get a can of apple pie filling, you can get a box of Cool Whip, and you can bring some cookies and you can make it in 5 minutes. But then you don't need me for that. Then you can just figure it out. Well, Tim is recommending that we should add a little vodka. I was going to say bourbon, but okay, vodka. If vodka, then vodka works. I don't drink, so I don't think vodka is a good pairing, but either rum or bourbon would be a better pairing with all the, the spiciness and all the dark notes from the cinnamon. And so we're going to keep whisking this.
Now's the time to add it in this thing?
What?
I said if somebody likes rum or something,
you could add it to any of the components of this dish. You could add it to the compote. You could add it at the base of your glass, or you could just drizzle it on top and then do a flambe. Like there's so many things that you could do with alcohol in your desserts. There's no stopping. And then people were like, "Oh, but I only had 5 dessert shots." Well, there was bourbon in there. No, but it had apples, it had fruit. I had some fruit. No, honey, you did not eat fruit. Yeah, you chugged it because there was booze in it. Okay, so now you can see this cream is starting to thicken up, right? You can see this cream is starting to thicken up. You can see it's making a point on the edge of your whisk. So that's how you know that it's ready, okay? The more you go, the thicker it will become. And then you can put it in a piping bag, you can spoon it over, right? Okay, so now this is pretty dense, it's pretty stable, it's not gonna move, it's not gonna go anywhere. And I am not a baker, I'm not a confectionist, I am not even a person who has a sweet tooth. But a lot of my desserts, I do this and honey, it works. Like we did this Diwali event at the Flushing Town Hall, and I made mango mousse mithai shots just like this by adding some barfi and by adding some mango puree. It really worked and the kids absolutely loved it, right? So this is ready. It has cinnamon already. I am going to go ahead and add the cardamom since we're going to go with the same theme. We're just trying to maintain that.
You added cinnamon, cardamom, and
Sugar. I didn't add any vanilla yet because I feel like there will be vanilla coming from this ready whip can that we're going to use. And the chocolate is vanilla as well. So you don't want to do too much vanilla. If it's too much vanilla, then the deep flavors of the cinnamon and the cardamom are going to get lost. Okay? So this, I can put it away. I don't need this anymore. Let me get my glasses out. So whenever you're working in a kitchen that has heat, or you're working in the summer and you're working with any kind of this kind of desserts, just give it the time to go back into the fridge so that it's not sitting at room temperature. So that's the trick of it, okay? Okay, so we have this, and this. Now we're going to put in our apple compote, which is looking like this. So you can make it as dense as you want. You can make it as light and fluffy as you want. If you want more fruit, you can do that. If you want more cream, you can do that. Different people have different tastes, which is why I love the versatility of this. And depending on wherever you're taking it, you can just make it the way you want. Or let's say you don't have enough apples and just put more cream, right? If you run out of cream, then just do the same thing and put vanilla ice cream on top. So it's really, really quite the creativity, the flexibility. Sky's the limit. You just have to figure out what do you like in your life, basically. It's not that...
You can make it according to what you like, whatever you have.
Exactly. So even if you were using apple pie filling from a can, just warm it up a little bit so that the cornstarch and everything will be well cooked. It won't be raw. And then you just put them into these little cups and make alternate layers of...
ice cream.
Yeah, vanilla ice cream. If you don't have cream or you don't have the time, just take a scoop of vanilla ice cream in a pretty little cup, add the apple compote on top, and boom, you're done. And just add some nuts or add that decorative chocolate situation that we have going on, okay? Now we're going to go ahead and spoon. And like I said, I don't have the skills to pipe this, but I don't know if Nalini is watching today. Nalini, if you're here, then you know what I'm talking about. Like, I really do not have the skills, right? Yeah, so if Nalini is watching, she can definitely do the piping trick and, you know, make it look pretty. I'm going to grab another spoon. So it's very decadent. It's very creamy. It's just a delicious take on something that's a holiday classic. And it's definitely less calories than having an entire slice of pie. If you want to make this grain-free, then you can actually just not do the crust at the bottom at all. And then it can be a gluten-free dessert. So a lot of people are watching their gluten, or a lot of people don't do grains. So then don't use any cookies or any crumbled up cake crusts at the bottom. Just do cream and apple and cream and apple, and that's it. And if you're dairy free, then use the coconut cream. Don't use the regular cream. There's also so many varieties of coconut condensed milk, coconut heavy cream. There's a lot of stuff that you get in coconut as well. So you don't have to go the traditional route. Just make it what you are, right? So if you're vegan, do it with coconut cream, or just do it with the compote and vegan ice cream, right? So there's so much pre-made stuff that we have access to. We forget how easy it is.
That's true. And then also you can take a little spoon, like if you're eating with a spoon.
Yes.
You can stir the whole thing and just
yeah. Well, you will be eating it in layers. So you know when you put it like this, there's something that'll come in. You'll get everything in every bite. That's the beauty of it. You'll get everything in every bite. Okay. So I've saved a little bit of the compote, which we're going to put on top. I'm just going to clean my hands a little bit.
Can we put a little cherry on top or something?
Yes, you can put cherry. If you don't want to do the whole chocolate decoration or whatever, you can put cherry on top. You can also put the freeze-dried strawberry on top. You can put the nuts on top. Look. Right. So you can do all of this stuff. Then I'm going to go ahead and see if my chocolate has set. Then we can use it. If not, okay, this is beautiful. Alrighty. Okay, so let me just get this out of the way so I can show you what the chocolate looks like. So this is what the chocolate bark looks like. You can see it's one solid bark, right? And it's just really pretty, and you know, it happened right here. I didn't have to do anything ahead of time. It's the same bark that we just made. So just break it up into some, you know, corners, and make sure that however you break it into shards, there should be enough.
When you buy them outside, that's how they make it?
That's how they make it. Yeah, it's just chocolate that you temper and put on a sheet. And then they have molds. I'll show you. They have things like chocolate molds where you'll have, you know, different shapes that are made, like roses. And so these are the kind of molds. You put your chocolate in, then it'll come out with a certain shape. So that's how they do it. Nobody's sitting there and sculpting it with hand. I mean, yes, some are, but not all. So now, since all of you always say show us presentation and plating, I always like to focus on that when I come on the show, right? So break it into shards, and always remember that you're trying to build height into your dessert, right? So you want something that's going to really stand out, and you have to like visually see, do I want it very dramatic like this?
Right.
Do I want it less dramatic? Should I just like put in something like this? So you will really have to see visually where you want it to be like. I think this is a really nice scale. So half and then maybe 2/3 of the height going up forward. So when you build up, it actually makes a very... Yes, sure. You can see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to find similar shards and then I will top all of the desserts with that. And then one more. This one I'm going to do with an over the top exaggerated one, right? Because this glass is a little bit different. So this is all done. I'm going to put this away. When you make chocolate like this, just make sure you refrigerate it so that it doesn't melt in a hot kitchen, right? Now we're going to bring these babies over and I'm going to add the rest of the compote that was going on. Just going to add a little bit of that so that anybody who sees it knows what to expect, right? So whenever you have a dessert or you have a dish that you're plating, always put something from what is inside should be visible on the outside so that people know what is going on, right? If you don't have the time to whip the cream and make it, just use the store-bought ready whip that I have right here. Just use this. You can use this. It works like a charm. Let me see if I have another glass that I can do this in.
The beauty of the whole thing is that there's so many different choices that you can do.
Yes, you can literally just make it your own. You don't have to worry about, oh my God, is it going to be good? Is it not going to be good? It's all good. It should be what you want to make it. It's not for anybody else. It's for your table. It's for your family. So make it what you want to make it. Right? So if I wanted to do the same thing in a bowl.
Nice round big bowl and put it and make
yes. So that's what I'm saying. Like this is just a different scale of it. You can actually replicate this in a larger scale. You can do it in a square bowl. You can do it in a Pyrex bowl. You can do it in a cake stand, like a trifle bowl. You can do so much with this, right? Let's say you don't have time to do any of the whipping cream stuff. Just take this. Shake it more. Do that. And then add your apple compote to the top.
So when you do this kind of presentations and all, or you like when you're doing catering to somebody's place, you do the shortcut or the other one?
No, I always do it from scratch.
Scratch. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody will like the one.
I mean, because they can do the short version and get it from wherever. So just a little dash of cinnamon on top, a little dash of cinnamon right next to the apples. And also when you use spices as a topping in your food, when you get the spoon closer to your mouth, you can actually smell.
Yeah.
So the aromatherapy of it is amazing. Right. So I have a Misty. So I have some comments that I missed. I missed the apple part. Was it sauteed with just butter? Yes, Jaya, it was just butter and a little bit of sugar. You can use brown sugar if you want. You've got to try this. It's just super simple. Hi Nalini. Welcome to Queen's Curry Kitchen. I'm just catching up with all of the... No, I don't have any fixed days of the week when I do the lives, even though I'd like to be a little more regular with what I do. Unfortunately, at this time, there is not that much predictability on the things that I go on the days when I go live, but you can follow this page and keep your notifications on so that whenever I am live, you will get a notification. Now, if you want to really go over the top, you can add little sugar pearls and, make it as elegant as you want it. You can do red, you can do green. If you're doing a Hanukkah party, you can do blue, like whatever you're doing, just make it your own. So this is the bowl version of it, like a cup version.
Right.
This is the shot glass version of it. If anybody wants to take a screenshot so I can use it later on for my reels.
Yeah, put them all together.
Yes, so I'm going to bring a plate. I'm going to get all of this clutter out of the way. And we are going to plate these right here. So these are our 3 holiday desserts. So this is a deconstructed apple pie. The best part about this is that even if you have guests coming the next day, you can always make it ahead of time and put it in the fridge, right?
Okay.
Yes, and if you don't have time, then the same results you can get with a can of apple pie filling, with a box of Cool Whip, and any kind of cookie that's nice and pretty. You can just top it with a pretty cookie, or the chocolate straws that you get. You can do all of that stuff, or you can just put the pretty sprinkles on top, and it'll still work. Okay, so that's our story for today.
But it's not that difficult. But you have to have all the things handy, and then you can do it.
No, just buy the ready-made stuff, but put it together in a way that it looks like a lot of effort went into it. Sometimes just keeping things semi-homemade is really simple. We just don't think about it. We think of the most complicated thing and, oh my God, how am I going to make it? But just imagine this, that if you're making this and you're hosting a party, here, whoever's taking a screenshot, go for it. This is our deconstructed apple pie. So we made an apple compote, and then we did white chocolate bark with freeze-dried strawberries. And then, of course, we have the cinnamon cardamom cream on top. That's what we made today. Yes, I can hold it up for you, my darling. There you go. So whether you have grandkids that are coming to your house, whether you have a party, whether you're hosting a brunch, this is a really handheld way of creating a non-messy dessert, and you can do it in disposable cups as well, so that the children won't break the glass stuff. Just go to flea markets and vintage stores and buy mismatched cups. That also looks really, really pretty. You can do this as a trifle for a larger gathering. You can get rid of putting the chocolate shards for that. You could just do the festive sprinkles, and you will get them at this time of the year in so many different colors. You can do that. If you're overly desi, then you can also use things like, let me show you. If you're overly desi, you can use things like this. This is a green and red mukhwas, which is actually a mouth freshener that you get in the Indian stores. You can use that if you don't have these. So depending on whatever the occasion, this is a basic technique that I've taught you. So take any fruit from the season, make a compote of it, layer it with cream and some kind of a crust, and then give it a nice decorative topping. And that should do it, right? You can do that with dark chocolate. If you have a dark color dessert, then try to go for a light color white chocolate bark. If you have a light dessert, then go for a dark color. So depending on whatever you want to do, you can make it your own. Creativity has really no limits, and I'm just here to help you along a little bit so that you don't have to struggle when you're trying to go to the next potluck that you need to be at.
One more question I have.
Sure.
Can you layer it the different way?
Yes, you can layer it. You can layer it. Just whenever you layer it, the biggest thing that you have to think about is that when someone goes through the layers, they should get all the tastes and the textures in every single bite. It's like biting into the perfect sandwich, right? Whether you bite it from the first bite to the last bite, it has the same taste.
Okay.
It has all the components. All of those layers should unfurl on your palate. That's the goal of layering. So when you're doing a trifle layer, let's say you're doing a pineapple pudding or a banana pudding. So with banana, you want to use a little bit of the rum flavor. You want to use some raisins and walnuts, and you can do the same cream thing, but instead of putting cardamom, just put cinnamon or put vanilla in the banana. Right? So you would have to know what are the flavor profiles that work for your family. If you're doing a pina colada or shots, you should do pineapple juice, pineapple chunks, and sweetened coconut. So you could really just make it whatever you want to, and it'll work for your family. So go with the theme, all year round. We have so many occasions, whether it's Mother's Day, whether it's Valentine's Day. There's always a dessert that's needed, and you can volunteer for this dessert. I tell you, it's going to be so easy. Don't take the tough route like me. I had to justify being on this live for half an hour, okay? So I've done all the different steps. But if you don't have the time or the capacity or the skill, just don't feel like you have to eat boring stuff or take boring stuff to a party only because you don't have the skills. Grab a can of pie filling, grab a Cool Whip, and make this just the way you want it. It can be grain-free if you let go of the crust at the bottom. If you like the crust, you can make that with graham crackers. You can make it with anything that you have. Johnny, thank you so much for sending me the screenshots. I am able to see that in Messenger that it came through, so I appreciate your cooperation on that. Veena ji, this was our dessert for today. If anybody has any questions, I will actually go into the chat of Dil Diyan Gallan on the Facebook page, and I will answer all of the questions.
Now, I'm just going to have a quick question.
Yes.
Somebody really, really desperate for a rum or something, then that's the time. one person is having without the thing, one person can put a little rum if they want.
Yeah, so if you're going to serve the boozy version and the non-boozy version, then what you should do is you should have different kind of glasses for it.
Right, but you can add that on top of this?
Yes, you can absolutely add a drizzle of rum on top, or you can create a rum sauce with caramel and rum, and you can cook it off and then you can drizzle it on top. You can also add rum essence. So if you want to get the essence without getting the booze, you can add rum essence. So that is also possible. And you can make it ahead of time. Just stick it in the fridge. It's going to stay good till your guests come home. Actually, the more it sets in the fridge, the better it becomes. You can do the same thing with dark chocolate. If you add chocolate syrup to the white cream, you can literally get a chocolate mousse kind of a feel without having to cook it. You can add cocoa powder. You can add coffee to white cream and do an espresso dessert. So there's like so many ways to do this. I think if I had to write a book, I could write so many books on this, just the series of what all you can do in a cup, right? So that's pretty much it. I love doing bite-sized, portion-sized pieces and, you know, appetizers and desserts. Like you see, this has been sitting in the hot kitchen. You see how the ready whip settles in? Yeah. It just sits down, right? It's not that puffy flour that it was, which is why I like to layer it like this, because even if it gets spoiled, it still looks really, really pretty. And if you're making this ahead of time, you can hold off putting the garnish of the chocolate shards and do that just before serving. So that way all of your dessert is really nice and cohesive. It's well combined. All of the tastes have married into each other because they've been sitting in the fridge. And then in the last minute before serving, you just add on your chocolate shard. This could also be a chocolate covered pretzel. It could be something festive from the holidays, or it could just be the sprinkles that you get store bought. So you don't have to make everything from scratch. There is a lot available out there that you can look at.
That strawberry thing that you just put on top.
Yes, the freeze-dried strawberries. Yeah.
The whole thing. Like you put that on the top, the chocolate.
Oh, the chocolate covered strawberry, yes. But then you can either buy chocolate covered strawberries or you can make chocolate covered strawberries. I think around Valentine's Day, I'll probably teach you how to do a chocolate covered strawberry, because that's when the strawberries are really nice and fresh. So I will teach you how to do a chocolate covered strawberry. Hello, Divya. Good morning. Welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen. You're a little bit late to the party, but definitely catch the replay. This is what we made. We made deconstructed apple pie shots for our holiday dessert party. And that's right over here. I am going to go ahead and do a taste test. Usually I don't eat sweets this early in the morning, but I am going to go ahead and do a taste test. Not because I made it.
Oh, the world? Okay. And this is with a whipped cream too.
Just the apple by itself, I could eat like a whole bowl of that. Just the apple.
Some people came late. How about recapping the whole from A to Z?
Sure.
Yes, they get an idea.
Okay. So we made a quick recap for all the people that are just tuning in. Mariana, yes, Nalini, it's just out of this world, right? So I'll tell you how the combination works. So when you bite into this dessert, the first taste you pick up is the cream. So the cream, you get that vanilla creaminess. Then you get the texture of the soft apples and you get the cinnamon burst in your mouth, which is amazing. Then you go further down and the little base that we made with the crust without adding the butter, that is still crisp because there's not that much liquid that's happening, right? So it's still crisp. You get all of those textures, you get all of those flavors. This is what we made, and how we did it was we crushed cookies or cake rusks, whatever you have. You crushed that in your blender and layered it into the shot glass. The next thing we did was we took a good old wok and we cooked down the apples to make like a jammy apple compote with cinnamon and sugar and cardamom. That's all we added, and a little bit of water to cook down the apples so that they were nice and soft. After that, we prepped the cream by taking heavy whipping cream, some sugar and some cinnamon, and we whipped it till stiff peaks formed, and then we layered it on top of this dessert cup. The first layer to go in was the crust. Then we added the apple compote, after which we added the cream, and then we prepared the chocolate shards from white chocolate bark. We didn't add anything to it except for the freeze-dried strawberries, which is the red color that you see here, and the crushed almonds, which is also quite visible here. This is already a vanilla flavored chocolate, so I didn't really need to add any essence, but if you like to If you get something that's totally unflavored, then you can always add any flavoring of your choice. And then we piped it into these cups. We also decorated it with little holiday sprinkles, the gold color. And this is what it looks like. Okay.
Wonderful. Let me take a picture. Let me take.
Yes, sure. Whoops.
I'll take another picture. Close up. Oh my God, it's so delicious. I wish I could pick it up.
Come on over. Okay, so this is what it looks like. You can do it. So can I. If I can do it, you can too. I don't bake. I'm a really, really bad baker. I'm afraid of baking. I hate baking. I'm too scared to bake. I can cook for 400 people, but I cannot bake for one person. I've burnt cookies. I've burnt cake in a box. This is the perfect solution. So when you're called upon to bring a dessert to a holiday party, or you're called upon to bring something for the treats table, you don't need to despair. You can do this. I'm going to try to do maybe one more segment of desserts before the holidays, and I'll see if I can, do that with Veena ji, so we can do another quick dessert. It might involve more chocolate because, it's something that rocks this time of the year. So I might do decorative chocolate covered Oreos or something like that. We'll see what we can do, but we will do one more dessert.
Christmas theme, we can do that before Christmas.
Sure. So if anybody has any questions, I know all of you all are watching, so thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. Leela, Ramsaran, definitely catch the replay. Nisha, definitely catch the replay. These are the apple pie, deconstructed apple pie shots that we made today.
Catch the replay at the Groupers program in mine. Dildiya Gallan with Veena Lamba.
Yes.
On Facebook group, it's called Veena Lamba with Veena.
Dildiya Gallan with Veena Lamba, and then also on the Queen's Curry Kitchen. All of these lives will be saved and stored. You will also be able to catch it on my YouTube channel, Queen's Curry Kitchen.
I was the boss over there too. Thanks to Savi.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward for this thing in a few days, few weeks maybe.
Listen, I'm here for you. I'm here. You want it right now? I can bring it to your house. Come, really? I'll put it in the fridge. Come and pick it up. No, I'm actually going to jump into cooking dinner. I'm going to put this in the fridge, and then I'm going to make salmon for dinner. So anybody who wants to stick around to make salmon curry, I will be back on Queen's Curry Kitchen Live. I will be doing that. I might do it on the TikTok Live. I don't know. Ritu Kapoor, welcome to Queen's Curry Kitchen. So any questions are you seeing in the chat, Veena ji, or you want me to go in there later on?
Mostly we're having our people out there, not your people. I can't see them.
No, you won't be able to see because I'm live on my page as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, but I are all appreciating it.
Okay, great. Okay, so I hope that you will give this a try. I am going to sign off now from the Queen's Curry page. But if you have any questions, if you have any combinations of flavors that you don't know how to pair and you want ideas on that, definitely drop it in the comments or send me a DM or take a class with me. I'm happy to show you how we do it Desi style, and I do it the easy peasy way. Well, thank you so much, Misty. These glasses are actually from dessert that I bought from somewhere, and this is from a candle. So this was a candle that was left over, so I washed it, I cleaned it out, and then these are actually from dessert cups. You also get plastic versions of these, so you can obviously do that. Okay, so I will see you in the next video. Until then, be blissful and flavorful. Don't eat too many sweets, but make it your own. Don't be shy to say yes to the volunteer duty for making desserts. You can do it just like I have. Catch the replay if you missed any parts, and drop me a DM if you want to see more flavor combinations. Until then, be blissful and flavorful. I'll see you soon. Bye.